Welcome to today's episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat. I'm Karen Scott Green.
And I'm Kat Hardrick.
And we are joined today by Forrest Tuff. Forrest has a lot of adjectives behind his name. He's an author, a CEO, film producer, master life coach, and a speaker. Forrest is the CEO and founder of One Vision Productions, which is a media and branding agency, and voted the best in Georgia. Congratulations on that.
I know, right?
He was recognized amongst the top 5 CEOs to watch in 2024 and Georgia's most influential leaders. He is a master life coach and a keynote speaker. Forrest has produced commercials, documentaries, films, podcasts, and TV shows. I need to get with you. He was voted the top Filmpreneur of the year by the International Association of Top Professionals. He's a volunteer, a philanthropist, and created a Pay It Forward program that annually awards a grant to a nonprofit. He received the Outstanding Georgia Citizen and President Lifetime Achievement Award. Thank you, brother, for joining us.
My pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Again, that's a lot of adjectives. That's some business work. You like Tommy. You unlike Tommy, we know what your job is, but
right.
Like Jamaicans, you have several jobs.
Serve the people. That's right.
That's right. I'm so glad you were able to get on the show because you got so much information to give our listeners. And just talk about what I want you to talk about before anything else. Talk about how I met you and a little bit about your commitment to our young people. I just really want you to talk about that first before we say anything else, because I love that about you.
We met as judges at the Gwinnett County Public Library Entrepreneur Summit for Teens. Mm-hmm. And so we were both judges in the contest where they put together a business plan over a couple of weeks. I served as one of the mentors. And then after that, they had a pitch contest, to pitch their business ideas. And so what happened in that scenario, they hadn't had any businesses to donate money. So I thought it might be a good idea to use my Pay It Forward program and donate the award money for the pitch summit.
Oh, nice.
Because the Gwinnett County Public Library was a nonprofit. So we donated $500 for the first place to win $250, second place win $175, and third place won $75. And that's where I met Miss Kat Hardrick as we sat there judging all these great, young, talented entrepreneurs pitching their ideas.
Yes. And the kids had no idea, girl. They were just jumping. They did it because that's their passion. That's what they were doing. They were in all this training and they all had great ideas. Yeah. These kids are so smart. And then to add a little money to the pot, they was like, what? It's so cute to see kids, our young
people excited about business.
Girl, yes.
What was the winning idea? What was the winning pitch? Do you remember?
Oh, dang. Which one was it? I remember the young lady. What did she have?
I think hers was about one of them was she had some type of compost business. There was one lady that had like a compost business, but I don't want to say that was the winning one. So I'll reserve that. Unless I know for sure. But that was one of the winners. I do remember that.
Okay. All right.
Look at Karen put us on the spot. I don't remember. It was a while ago.
I'm inquisitive. I'm inquisitive. That's what I do.
Yeah, but they all were the bomb. They all. It's such a hard thing. But to add to that, we still need more people to participate and be judges.
Okay,
that would be good too. So that's one thing I want to spin off of that. But talk about how you mentor and help young people, because you are a part of that program as far as helping young mentors.
Well, I actually work with, I don't know if you're familiar with 3DE by Junior Achievement. Mm-hmm. So I go to the schools. They have a program where they work with high schools across the state, and they do a lot of things in terms of working with major companies to help them come up with strategic plans for these different companies. And at the end of it, they have a judge contest and they pitch their ideas to major companies like Arby's and, a lot of these companies, Home Depot. Right. And so I've done that for like 4 years. Just working on that entrepreneur piece. And so working with Gwinnett Entrepreneur Center, they partnered with the Gwinnett County Public Library. And when I saw that, I said, hey, I'd like to come out and help out. And so I just wanted to go in and work with the young kids and just help them develop their ideas and show them the potential that comes with being an entrepreneur and creating jobs and being able to create revenue. So that was how I got involved with that program.
Okay. But why you? Tell them a little bit why you though. I was fascinated by, like, when my queen over here, Karen, was reading your resume. When I found out who you was and what you was doing, I said, okay, let me go on and brush my shoulder over. I'm sitting next to Mr. Tuff.
You know, I grew up in a house that was 5 of us. And I had 3 younger brothers and sisters. And I think back then, you know, when your parents had to work, when you were an older kid, you had to take care of your brothers and sisters. Mm-hmm. And I did that, you know, even though sometimes I wish I could go out and do other things, I always brought them along. But I think growing up, not really knowing, I saw the impact it had on them being around them and having my little cousin with me as well. I just noticed how I had an influence on the decisions that they made. And I started to realize that, you know, the things that I would do in life would actually affect them. So I think that's where, on a low conscious level, where it came from. And so as I, you know, grew up, I always found myself mentoring youth. I played college basketball, and we would always do camps and just helping young kids and just seeing them grow. So a lot of that working with youth also came from when I played sports. So I think it's just translated. As I got into business, I just never forgot that youth need mentors. You can't get so far above that you forget that this next generation coming up might be your boss.
That's
so you
right.
might want to teach them something.
Right. So
I think that's where it came from.
Tell us about One Vision Productions. How did you start your media and branding company? And who are your clients and what do you focus on?
Long story short, I used to always video in high school, parties, events, everything. And as I got older, I think around 2000, someone asked me, hey, man, would you do a birthday party? They pay you $100. And the light went off. You know, so I started my business in 2004. And so as it's grown now, we started out doing music videos. A lot of people have heard this song Swag Surfing. I was a director of that music video. So that was my claim to fame in the entertainment world. That's my legacy. When I see people swag surfing in other countries and in Germany, I directed the music video before they sold it, went national. You know, I did that. I worked a lot in the entertainment circle, and I started to think about diversifying because I wanted a different type of clientele, a different type of money. So I did the paperwork. So I got in my minority business enterprise certifications, a lot of other certifications, and I do a lot of work with the government. So right now, major work is corporations and federal and state government. That's the gist of my business. And it's grown. Like I said, we're celebrating 20 years this year. Some of our clients are the Woodruff Arts Center, Coca-Cola. Man, let's see. No, let me give you a couple. Let me give you a couple more. Western Union. How about the U.S. Department of Justice? You know, the CDC. So those are some high-level clients that we work with. But we've done a lot with so many throughout Georgia and the U.S.
You know, I work with the Chamber of Commerce and with 2 chambers of commerce. I'm on their board. And one of the challenges that I've heard businesses say that sustainability, that longevity. What are some things that have helped you, Forrest, keep your business thriving for 20 years? Like I talk to people who can barely. I just talked to a therapist who their colleagues are out of business in 5 years, and their personal practices they've had to pivot. So what is your recipe for staying in business for 20 years that you can lend some information to our other businesses out here that may need that advice?
Well, I go by the formula, make more than you spend.
Okay.
That's the bottom line. I think a lot of times entrepreneurship, and especially with social media, you know, we really want to impress. We want to give the concept that entrepreneurship is just the easy road and everyone's making 6 figures a month. And, you know, hey, if you want to get rid of that boss, listen, I have 1,000 bosses. So if anybody tells you entrepreneurship is you're the boss, you're a boss to so many different people. And guess what? At your company, you have one boss, a couple, maybe 2 or 3. You learn their attitudes and how they are. In my line of work, I have a new boss every day.
Every client is a new boss.
Yeah, I'm working with Coca-Cola. Hey, they have a more liberal type of attitude. Now I'm working with the federal government. They're a lot more strict. So what worked over here doesn't work over here. Right. So, you know, you have to really be patient and you have to really be customer service oriented, really care about people and listen. Don't push your business, push your capabilities and how you can make their business grow. That's what it's about. Make sure that you're not.
How can you be of value to that customer, to that client?
Absolutely. Be of value to who you are, because even when you become the expert, you should always be in a position to learn, and the landscapes change. One thing that happens when you're not in the corporate space, there's always new initiatives. It's always changing. So you have to be pliable. You have to get leadership training, figure out what's going on, understand the marketplace, and you have to sacrifice. I would tell people, if you're going to be in business, sacrifice. You want to go get that brick and mortar? Don't do it. Go get a virtual office.
Absolutely.
Get an office when you need it, not so people can come in and ooh and ah. You know how you buy that brand new Mercedes so everybody can look? Well, after they see it 2 or 3 times, they no longer care. But that bill is still coming.
That bill is still there.
That
Absolutely.
bill is still coming. And so that's what happens, I think, a lot with businesses. Maybe they get money and they start spending and showing people how things are great. And the truth is, you got to put money away for a rainy day, because there's going to be a winter. And when that winter comes,
and reinvest in your business.
Absolutely. Reinvest constantly. Like being in the media space, I could buy a camera that costs $2,000, right? That's just a camera. So I have to make sure that when I receive money, pay my people, reinvest in the business, take care of my livelihood. Don't go take a vacation. Now we're going to reinvest that money and put it away, saving. So you have to really learn how to save and budget money. And that's a whole other class.
Yeah, well, no, we gonna drop that class on these folks right now.
Yeah, financial literacy is a whole other thing. That's the main component to it.
Right.
So, Forrest, can we also, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about your podcast and the TV shows, documentaries that you've worked on, that you've completed. Can you tell us about some of them and about the podcast?
Yeah, I had a podcast during the pandemic, actually, when this is where I had to make some pivots. When it hit, I had to find ways to stay in the public, and not everything was about necessarily making money. There had to be some cutbacks. There were some people, we had to find ways to create opportunities. So it was like, even with team members, hey, we got to find ways to where we're bringing in revenue, not waiting for it. So we have to do that. And so I started this podcast called Tough Talk Show, and it actually aired on TV, and, it was also a podcast, but I brought in a lot of different people, from public speakers to tech people to, my family members who are professionals. I have a sister that works for the CDC. I also have another sister that works in Gwinnett County. She just got nominated for Emmy with her team.
All right,
she works in the media with Gwinnett. And so I brought them on, and, it was just a really interesting show, but it provided a lot of relevance, because at the time I was also doing a lot of speaking across the country virtually. And that was really growing. So for me, that's how that space really took off. That podcast really helped me to stay relevant and to grow my speaking business during that time, during the pandemic. So that's what it was for. It was really to help me grow my virtual speaking business and just learn how to connect with people online.
Okay.
That's real good.
All right.
Yeah.
So what are some of the shows that you have? This is my last question. I'm gonna let you go, Kat.
Yeah.
What are some of the shows that you've produced?
Well, I'll tell you what, one of the things that I have produced that you may know, there's a film that came out, it's a documentary called Released. Now it's interesting because when my documentary came out, Oprah Winfrey came out with the same show called Released, and it was based on the same thing, prison reform.
Okay.
So simultaneously, we had the exact same show that came out. Now, what's interesting is that, the documentary had won about 30 film awards. It received a $15,000 donation from the Arthur M. Blank Foundation. And it really did well. It was distributed to every U.S. attorney's office in the nation.
Wow.
To show, the process of reform. We had Governor Deal in it. We also had it was a project with the U.S. attorney's office for the Northern District of Georgia. And I really worked with their community affairs liaison. Her name was Danielle Wiley. She was really instrumental in helping put that initiative together, because she really works in that community space. But that project what ended up happening is 2 of the members in that project were picked up and put on a Iyanla Vanzant Fix My Life.
Oh.
Right. So yeah, I always tell people Oprah knows who I am. She saw my movie.
Hey, Oprah.
Whether she called me, she knows who I am, because if they picked up my show, that means they watch release.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
What ended up happening, one of the gentlemen, he ended up getting a pardon from the state. It was pardoned for his crimes, but some things he had been doing. So it wasn't just about the movie, but that was a catalyst. And I don't think a movie with that magnitude, with the U.S. Justice Department and also being featured with Oprah, didn't have some impact. But that's one of the most impactful projects. Now, also was in The Hate U Give. You remember that? The movie about 20th Century Fox?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I actually was hired as one of the coaches. I coached the main actors on how to look like basketball players.
What?
Yeah, because see, another thing, in my past life, I'm a Hall of Fame college basketball player.
Okay, what school? What school?
I went to Gordon State College, and then I went to Western Carolina University. I played Division One, and I severed the nerves in my hand, so that dream got deferred. But I still led the state in Georgia in threes, and still hold the records up at Gordon State. So I go up there periodically and talk to the athletes, and talk to them about life after sports.
Look at you! Look at you! All right, I'm gonna have to now that you not to be a terrible joke, but I probably could take you to the hole now.
Hey, you never know. Listen, after I tore that Achilles, I don't play basketball. I might have to get my daughter on you. Huh?
I said, see if you still have a little bit in you.
Oh, my daughter does. She plays Division One. I tell her, I say, go ahead and get her for me, Jordan. Yeah.
Vicariously through your children, right?
Well, you know what? Some pick it up and some go other ways. It's what I like about it, especially with kids, you try not to push them. You just try to guide them when you see.
Encourage them a little bit.
Yeah, when you see their talent, you say, you know what? Yeah, you look good in this. You want to try that?
Yeah.
Some like it. But I think sometimes when you push it, it's not their passion. They're trying to live your dream.
Right.
And I'm glad my daughter lived her dream. And she fortunately finished. She finished with a master's on scholarship.
Go ahead now.
Yeah, because of the pandemic, she got some extra years and got her master's and still has an extra year. So she's enjoying the sport, getting paid, and free college. I'm enjoying it. Hey, that's a pay raise.
That's right. I know, Dad. I know that's right.
That's a pay raise.
Forrest, you've been involved in so much in your career, and you've accomplished so much. What are some of the challenges in the industry in which you work that you've overcome, and that you can help lay the groundwork for people who are coming behind you?
I mean, you have to know that you're gonna fail a lot, but you have to get up. And failing to just fail is not the thing. You have to learn from your failures. You have to figure out what you did wrong, and you have to have enough humility to understand that that's a part of the process.
Yeah.
If you lose, if somebody tells you no, I mean, okay, they're not saying no to you. They're just saying no to you right now. So figure out how to get them to say yes, or go another direction until you can come around and maybe have a more attractive presentation. But you have to be able to be fluid in what you do. And I think a lot of times rejection becomes personal, and people take that rejection as I'm not good enough at something. And sometimes they give up. But you have to know that failing is just an experience. And from that experience, not only can you learn, but you can also help somebody else who's going to go through that. And you can teach them how to be resilient, how to be mentally tough in order to persevere through those hard times, so that, you keep going, and finally you'll have some breakthrough.
Yeah.
What was a challenge of yours that you overcame in this industry?
Not having the background in anything that I'm doing, and not having the network. Because as you know, the film industry is a very closed network.
Right.
The speaking business is a very closed network. Okay. So these are things I wanted to get into. And even in media, I didn't have the professionalism nor the money to go to school. So I put my money into buying the equipment and learning and just teaching myself and volunteering a lot. I volunteered a lot for free. Listen, let me come in, let me learn something. If there's an opportunity 2 months down the road, maybe you'll hire me. I'll work for free. So I did anything that I could to teach myself. And I studied a lot on business, and I studied people and communication. I joined Toastmasters.
All right.
I wanted to learn how to be a better communicator, how to listen better. So I did a lot of things to upgrade myself in terms of my education. And I constantly went after things. You know, for instance, I'll give you one example. When I got on with the Woodruff Art Center, I was on for them like 12 years. I volunteered they had a thing with Target. It was a huge Target Family Thursdays. I said, you know what? I'll bring out my team, 5 people, and I'll volunteer. We'll cover this whole thing and give you free video. Wow. So I'm paying all these people out of my pocket with no return in mind. I just said, just give me an opportunity. I put together the presentation. They liked the video. We became a preferred vendor, and we actually did so much work. They actually wrote a testimony about they had never worked with a production company that did so many diverse types of production for their organization over a decade. So, hey, sometimes you got to have strategic volunteering when it comes to your business or goals. And then there's volunteering just because.
Yes.
Amen.
Just because it makes your soul happy.
Yeah, there's two different. And it's okay to do both. You just got to know what you're doing it for.
Yes, absolutely. Forrest, do you have any internship programs for college students or high students that are interested in film and production?
Or us? Here.
Yeah, I have worked with, I've worked with some schools. I have done some personal internships. Right now, I'm actually putting together an entrepreneurship program with an organization that wants to work with youth, and I'm helping them to put together a program to have something. So even when I'm not doing internships, I'm always working with programs to help them develop something, and even going back and giving towards other programs as a volunteer.
Because I know someone who's a film student at Georgia Gwinnett College. I'm just saying.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, when I have opportunities, I definitely will use them and put them to work, because that's what they're gonna have to do. Work.
Yeah. Oh,
work.
She's a very hardworking young student, but I know she's interested in film, and Georgia is the place for film right now. Folks don't have to move out to California anymore. Can you tell us about the Pay It Forward program that you created that awards an annual grant to a nonprofit, and who have been some of your recipients?
So in 2015, I think that was the first Pay It Forward grant. It started because there was an organization, and this is the truth. There's an organization that wanted to induct me into it, and it was really esteemed. And their membership fee was in the thousands of dollars.
Wow.
And I thought, wow, that's awesome. I could sit up with some higher ups and be amongst the named. I said, but you know what? I could take that money and give it to organizations that need it.
That's right.
And it was nothing, I could get them $4,000 or $5,000, but I was like, that $4,000 or $5,000 could benefit some small organizations that need the money. That was my thing. So I said, guess what? Instead of giving them $5,000, I'm going to take at least 500, and I'll give that over 10 years. So every year, that's 10 nonprofits I can touch, as opposed to an organization of people that I think have money. That was my personal take on it.
Right.
Okay.
And so that's where it started.
Was it a group that has a number in the name and associated with men of color?
No, it's not that one, but it was a high up organization. But one thing about those types of organizations, they do great work, and sometimes their fees cover the work that they do. So it was more of a personal decision as a business owner to say, you know what, I'm going to take my own initiative. I'm going to make my own mark in Georgia. And it wasn't about being a part of an organization. So now the organization is saying, hey, these are people that we're putting out. I was like, you know what? Sometimes you just got to be independent. Make your own mark in this world. Put your own money up, and do things. That way you have control of how you help. And there's no bureaucracy or anything that's dictating your finances. So that's where it stemmed from. And a couple of the organizations we work with this past year, Gwinnett County Library, we've worked with 1911 Foundation. We've done some work with Yes Kids. We've also done one with an organization called Miss Gussie. She deals with kids that have disabilities. So we work with so many different types of nonprofits, and I'll be honest with you, most of the organizations have been minority organizations. We did one with beautiful. What? Oh, wait a minute. Beautiful Inc. Girls are beautiful. Something like that. It was about I am beautiful. That was the first recipient. I am beautiful. And that was an organization that catered to girls. And I have 3 daughters, so that was dear to me. I said, we're gonna start with the young ladies, benefit the young ladies, but also do things with youth and young men. So that's where it came from. It was just a way to give back instead of giving and just having my name be a part of a great organization, but still just making my mark.
Yeah, I like that about you. The more and more I'm learning about you, the fact that you said I can join this big organization, or I can take my dollars and put it towards organizations that may need it a little bit more. Doesn't say that the bigger organization doesn't,
right?
But we all know that the smaller organizations, the small businesses of the world, just get overlooked.
Yes.
And they're the ones that kind of fizzle out before the Coca-Colas of the world and all this other stuff. But it's because Coca-Cola started small. But it's just that we have to start pouring back. And that's why we're doing this podcast, to illuminate stuff like that.
Absolutely. Because we both know people who started nonprofits who are just struggling to,
keep the
they're
doors
doing
open.
good work, and they're struggling to keep their doors open because they can't get the funding. Because when people want to give, they're giving to United Way, they're giving to UNCF, they're giving to, just larger organizations, which all of those things are needed, but the small mom and pop nonprofits who are picking kids up in their personal vehicles and getting them back and forth to,
college tours
and things like that, they need resources. So thank you, Brother Forrest.
And I can definitely give you some more nonprofits for you to consider to donate.
Well, we have an application process.
There you go.
Okay, so now when does that do?
If you go to the business website for One Vision Productions, you can go to onevisionproductions.com and look under Giving Back, and it's the Pay It Forward program. You fill out the application, and we usually have a recipient annually. We usually have a recipient every year. And, I'm looking to expand it because I'd love to do more with, more organizations throughout the year. And I think now, with this being my 10th year, I'm going to start partnering, because one of the things I think about partnering with other businesses is like, I've done the work. And that's the thing about it. It's okay, I'm doing what I'm asking you for. I'm not telling you to do something just as an idea. I'm like, listen, here are 10 organizations, 10 testimonials, see what they have to say about it. And so it's one of those things now where I want to help small businesses. Let's not look at the conglomerate, because I understand the marketing and branding and, the personal branding of your business, but there's a real need to make sure that the small organizations in our communities are remaining, because that impact is where it's really happening in our communities, not on a global scale. Like you said, United Way is amazing. You're doing amazing things, but it may not be in your community. You might have mics for boys and youth right here, and these young boys and youth in your neighborhood need that money. So that's where I would appeal to people, say, make sure we take care of our communities first before we look at such big pictures for our brand. Let's really be about impact.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Wow. And so for those who are listening, that's onevisionproductions.com, ONEVISIONPRODUCTIONS.com, onevisionproductions.com. And you can go on the webpage to find out more information about Forrest's Pay It Forward program.
Yes. And one of the questions we always ask before we go, I have 2 questions. One, think about a book that you would recommend people to read. Like you said, you taught yourself the game. You put yourself out there. You knew what you didn't know, but you knew where you wanted to be. So what is a book that you would recommend someone to read who wants to get into your industry? And my second question is, what do you do to protect your mental wellness? We are big on mental health, and we want to help break the stigma. We want to help Black people in the community to say that don't affect us, or you just crazy, or you just slipped a Mickey, or this person just, nah. We need to start talking about it and letting people know that this is real. And every day we should be focusing on how to have work-life balance and manage our mental wellness. So please, if you don't mind, sharing a regimen that you do to protect your mental wellness, and then give us a book that we can read to help us get into your industry.
I'll give you a book, and this book is for any industry. It's called Blue Ocean Strategy.
All right.
Blue Ocean Strategy, in a nutshell, the concept is there's the red ocean. That's where everybody's fighting for business.
Mm-hmm.
The blue ocean is where you create something, like you create your own lane. So you're not fighting. You're in your own lane. And I'll give you an example. Remember when everybody would go to the circus? The circus was, you take your kids, it's going to be smelly, clowns, peanuts, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then here comes Cirque du Soleil. Now that's a date night.
Right.
Now the tickets aren't $10, the tickets are $150.
Right. But
so they're not fighting the circus, it became the date night. So I would advise anyone that's going into business to look at how you can diversify and looking to get in a different market share and find out a way to make your business stand out, whatever that is. So whatever business you're in, I would encourage that book because it really challenges your mindset and the way you think and the way you go about looking at how you go about your daily activities and targeting your market.
Yeah.
Now, for me, my wellness, there are a couple of things that I do. Some people can go to church. Some people pray. Some people have quiet time, meditate. Me personally, I spend time with myself. I have a small circle of people. I talk to people that have positive energy. Absolutely. It doesn't mean that they're always just saying you're great or this is great. But if they're giving me some critique or evaluation, it's in a positive way that's going to help create positive results. I don't stay around negativity. I just don't deal with it. That's just not something that I do. And I don't have to post about it. I'm getting negative people out of my life. I don't do all that. I just don't.
That's right.
I just don't engage in it. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. I don't put that negativity on my pages. I don't engage in stuff that has no purpose. I'm not hashing out my political differences on social media. The only thing I do on social media is personal things that are going to help my business grow. These are all the types of things that help me stay in my space. So I get to myself. I spend time with my family. My wife, I sit down and talk to my wife. I know it sounds crazy to some people, but I spend time with my wife because this is the person I know has my best interest in mind. She has my family in mind, and we have each other's back. So I take her advice. I ask her oftentimes about what am I doing? What does she think about what I'm doing? And sometimes she give me she'll give me feedback that I don't always necessarily agree with.
Oh, you mean she keep it real, huh?
100. But you know what? I understand that it's not about, she's not competing. She's telling me things that honestly I need to consider. So it's like you have to have people like that around you. People, the more you grow, you need people around you that are going to tell you the truth. Yes. They're going to tell you the truth with love and with purpose.
Yes.
So that's how I keep my energy even in my life.
Amen. Thank you.
I love it. For those who are interested in the Blue Ocean Strategy, it is by W. Chan Kim and Renee Mauborgne. Mauborgne. Again, Blue Ocean Strategy by W. Chan Kim and Renee. Renee is spelled Renee, and her last name is Mauborgne. And it is found on Audible, and you can also pick it up on Amazon. And we don't get any money from this. We're just, once we hear about something that works, we want to share it. So thank you for sharing that with us, brother.
Amen.
And for those of you who are interested in finding out more about Forrest and want to get in contact with Forrest, you can reach him via email at info@forresttuff.com. And that's Forrest. Forrest is spelled Forrest, tuff.com, info@forreststuff.com. And the website is www.forreststuff.com. And you can also find his podcast at toughtalkshow.com.
So wait, you know what? When you said tough talks, I'm thinking TOUGH.
It is T. Thank you for that. It is TUFF. So his tough, as in last name tough, is
Right.
TUFF. So it's
Yeah.
TUFFTALKSHOW. Toughtalkshow.com.
Yeah, I love that. That's catchy, brother. Tough
Yeah,
talk.
thank you. I thank my dad for that last name. Yeah. And that's actually the book I'm working on. You know, my coaching is mentally tough, results coaching. And I have a book coming out called Mentally Tough.
Get out.
And that's what it's about. It's the strategy of, you know, these are things that I learned when I played sports. You know, growing up in my era of sports, you know, there wasn't participation trophies. If you didn't win, you didn't get a trophy.
You didn't get it.
You had to keep working until you became good enough to get it. And that mentality is something that I think can help you persevere in these times and not, you know, want to give up so quick, not want to just throw your life away or just give up because it seems hard and impossible. But being mentally tough and mentally resilient can really help you move forward and help others as well.
How did you get in? How did you become a master life coach, Forrest?
I actually was a mentor with SCORE through the Small Business Association. I did that for 7 years. And so I mentored hundreds of businesses in Gwinnett County, and I did really well in that space. And a lot of times they wanted me to become their coach. Okay. But I was like, you know, I couldn't. There was a clause where I could mentor you. I couldn't take you on personally.
It was a conflict.
It was a conflict. But before I retired, I started taking coaching classes. So for the 2 years before I retired, I took all the certifications in business, finances, personal growth, took all the entrepreneurship. And once I retired from SCORE, I started my coaching business officially. So I had 7 years of real practical experience working with businesses. And then, you know, I had 15 years of being in business. So as I grew my business, I had something to pull from.
Go ahead.
And again, if anyone is interested in life coaching with Forrest, you can reach Forrest at info@forresttuff.com. And again, tough is TUFF.
Okay, tough.
Not the other tough. So go ahead.
I want to say one thing before we leave, because you struck me with a chord before when you said about talking with your wife. I can't remember what you said, but you kind of preferenced it like, you know, most people may not do this or something. This may sound weird. I don't know what you said, but it rubbed me. Brother, it's a great thing that you have a beautiful relationship with your wife, that you talk. And I know you wasn't saying it like, I don't, you know, but I think you were saying it like, you know, it might be corny, L7. I don't know what the deal is. But
I'll say a lot of people don't think that relationships have a different twist nowadays for so many reasons. And a lot of people don't think that that's relevant.
Man, it's super relevant.
It's very relevant. You know,
yeah,
to
it's
me,
very
it is.
relevant.
Yeah,
that's why I'm like, we love to, you know, I always talk about that love, like Karen and her husband, you know, Brother Green. Like, I like when everybody talks about, you know, connecting and that love and loving your spouse, you know, because we have so many broken families, and we need to talk about how we have a beautiful family, a father and a mother and children, and we are cool. So, and that's powerful for people, because we can stop saying, yeah, man, my spouse get on my nerve, because COVID got a lot of folks divorced, didn't they?
Right. A lot of people on out here.
People realized that they did not get along.
Yeah.
That's right. I always tell my wife, I remember when we got married, I told her, I said, you know, I really like you. And she said, you like me? I said, you'll know what that means one day. Yeah. I said, I don't know. When COVID hit and I told it to her, she understood. I said, you know, I like you, right? She said, that's what you mean. I said, yeah. I said, love is not enough during the pandemic. Man, love, the opposite of love is hate. Like, though, is like, you know, we okay.
Like is you enjoy that person's company.
You enjoy that person, right?
That's
and
right.
I think that's another thing that, you know, I would love to get back to, the family structure. You know, I grew up with my mother and father, and, you know, I didn't grow up with hard times. I grew up with hard times simply because it was 5 of us. That's a whole lot of kids to feed.
To be,
But
yeah.
our parents made it happen. You know, we didn't always have the name brand shoes, but we had shoes.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And so
Yeah.
that family structure, though, can create wholeness. And I think that's something that I would love to promote more. And here's a caveat. Here's a twist. I've been divorced.
Mhm.
I've been remarried. And I didn't give up on marriage because of
It
what
didn't work
happened
one
in that
time.
previous
Yeah.
situation. My wife and I now have been together 15 years
Mhm.
marriage. So it's one of those things where people make mistakes, you know, and you got to own yours. And everybody, I think if everybody owns what they have, it doesn't mean that that structure is now gone, but you now have to work harder to help keep it better. Like for me, you got to, there's a saying what my grandma used to say, if you lay in that bed, you got to, you know, make it up.
Got to make it up.
So as a man, the things that I created and the things that I messed up, guess what? I got to fix that. So my kids who grew up in North Carolina, two of my daughters, at 7 years old, when she had a game, I had to drive 6 hours to go to that game.
That's right.
Mm.
And I had to be there. All right, Dad is here. Yeah, I'm in the hotel. I'm leaving. They had to know I had to still be in their life. I couldn't go that route of being bitter because we made these certain decisions. It was like, no, sir. You still got children. And so now my children are in college and grown, and they're like, hey, Dad, we're coming down for the summer. That means a lot to me because now it's their choice.
Yeah.
Now they're grown, they make their own life.
And they still want to spend time with you.
Man, no sacrifices. So family is about making sacrifices for people. It's not about not making mistakes. Yeah. It's about making sacrifices to take care of the people that are important in your life and that you're responsible for.
Because you choose to. I love it. I love that. Thank you, Forrest.
Yeah, I told you he an all right guy, boy. I tell you.
Thank you. You know, I appreciate you taking time out of your evening to talk to Kat and myself and impart some wisdom and share to share One Vision Productions and to share Forrest Tuff, you know, with us. And all the work that you're doing in the community. Thank you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Yes. Is there anything else you want to say before we jump off? One last word to our listeners?
I just want to tell people, you know, stay with it. Just be encouraged. Stay with it. You know, speak positivity to yourself. I always tell people, you be your biggest cheerleader. And if you don't believe in what you're doing, no one else will. So believe in yourself, even when it doesn't make sense.
Facts.
Absolutely. Love that. Thank you. As always, I want to thank our listeners and our viewers for joining us on today's episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat.
Where we are impacting the world one conversation at a time.